The First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by WeatherRate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Good stuff. Thank you, Robert. That's for you weather geeks out there, and we mean that in a positive, complimentary way. There's a lot of tropical vocabulary, and I think a good idea if you're especially new to the area or you've newly become a weather geek when it comes to this kind of stuff, to understand that vocabulary so you understand the whys to the forecast that eventually do come. Let's take a look. This is the easier scenario. We're looking at the temperatures. Look at Miami right now. Miami is cooler than International Falls and Bismarck on the Canadian border, but that's because the tropical rains are dumping over South Florida. Again, for those of you who have travel plans and maybe even flight plans, we're not talking about necessarily high winds, but as expected, they're getting their rainfall. The forecast for days has been that portions of South Florida would get 6 to 12 inches of rain, and it's happening. So there are travel delays down there. Here's a look at the computer model, at least one of the computer models. Here's, of course, northeast Florida, southeastern Georgia. I'm barely showing you folks in southeastern Georgia because really we're on the fringes of the precipitation with this overall system. And if you look at the winds and it looks disorganized, it is. That's good. We don't expect this system to become organized until it heads away from us. Again, you don't want organization unless you want a tropical cyclone developing. But because it's so sheared, although the center by later this evening will be developing between us and about Daytona Beach, notice these big storms are hundreds of miles to the south, and that's because the system is sheared. That means upper level winds are out of the west and northwest and really only allowing those thunderstorms to build a long way away from the system. Now, as we go through the day tomorrow and the next day, thunderstorms may begin to form a little closer to that developing low, but by then it's going to move away from us. So we're going to continue on the weak side and the dry side, and that's why, although overall the weather system has a lot of water with it, we'll continue with just these scattered showers. That tomorrow, again, if you're going to get a shower east of I-95, it's going to tend to be during the morning hours. If you're going to get a shower or thunderstorm west of I-95, it'll tend to be from midday through a latter part of the day. Here's another way to look at the two lows, we're going to call it. So even if this becomes a tropical cyclone, that's going to be as it moves away from us and more of a curiosity. The other one could become a bigger one deep in the Bay of Campeche, but that's for next week. And any concerns for dads, that would be those living in Mexico or maybe extreme South Texas. Putting it all together for you, shower activity will decrease as we head toward the weekend, but that also means more sun. Saturday looks pretty darn hot again.
Thank you, Tim.